මේ 37 කරපු මේ වැඩේට බොහොම අවංක ස්තුතියි අපෙන් පුද කරනවා. බොරාල මුළු ගමටම වතුර දෙන්න පුළුවන් මේකෙන්.
මුළු ගම්මානයටම වතුර නැතුව හිටියේ. ඒ නිසා මේ මහත්තුරුන්ට ඉතාම පින් සිද්ධ වෙන වැඩක්.
ඇත්තටම මට දරා ගන්න බැරි සතුටක් මට දැන් කතා කරන්නත් බැහැ. ඔබලා ඔබ්සියස් මායින්ටට මම ආයෙත් මේව කරනවා.
Well, there were smiles all over Borala today after water shot up from the ground at a site selected for the drinking water project in the area under the News First Come Weather 100 Days initiative.
That's right. We'll have all the details of how expressions of hardships endured over several years were turned into smiles later on in the bulletin.
A very good evening. I'm Joel Outscoon.
I'm Sonali Vanigabadage. We start off first with a look at tonight's headlines.
Anyone who acts against the party constitution could lose party membership. Warning by SLFP General Secretary Minister Duminda Disanayake. Prime Minister stresses the importance of the office of missing persons.
Deaths have occurred, killings have taken place. We all would like to know how many went missing finally.
Bribery Commission files 5 cases against former President's head of security. Bodies of 3 persons missing off the coast of Balapitiya recovered. Operation underway to locate missing student. Senior DIG MR Lateef appointed as the Commandant of the Police Special Task Force.
The closing ceremony of the Asala Perahera was held this evening under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena at the Presidential Palace in Kandy.
The annual water cutting ceremony of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic was held in Katame today. The event, which was held under the auspices of the Basnayaka Delame of the Vishnu Devalaya, also saw the participation of shaman of the 4 main Devalayas. Later, the Perahera paraded the streets and returned to the temple. The Devarana Nilame Pradeep Nilangadala presented the Sannas document to the President. Basnayaka Nilames of all 4 Devalayas were present for the event. Dancers and artists that contributed for the Perahera were commended at the event. Facts reported by the Committee on Public Enterprises on several institutions was the point of discussion at the media briefing convened by the People's Liberation Front of the JVP today. The briefing was chaired by party leader Anura Kumara Disanayake.
Lanka
Rakna Arakshaka Lanka Limited had invested a sum of 1,01,400 rupees in various sectors. None of them are legit investments. They have not obtained the required permission from the Treasury. They have not obtained permission from the respective ministry. State funds have been misappropriated. Until 2014, Avantgarde has inked 6 agreements with Rakna Arakshaka Lanka Limited. The first report, COPE, clearly indicates that these agreements are not legitimate. In this backdrop, the government, claiming to have good governance, enters into another agreement in October 2015. According to that, a sum of 1,255,000 rupees owed by Avantgarde to Rakna Arakshaka Lanka Limited has been waived off.
Avantgarde Samagam within give you to Dasalak the Desia Panaspaha Kapahari. Didas Pahala Vinakota Mokadami Samagam Sidiviti.
Come 2015, what happened to this airline? Fixed assets of the airline valued at 28 billion dropped to 24 billion. The current assets depleted. There's an arrears of 74 billion rupees. It is an institution that is in debt of 62 billion. If the airline is to be sold, once sold, another 62 billion rupees need to be paid to the buyer. That is how it will be even. The hedging deal created a loss of 10.2 billion rupees. The fee of the case alone was 975 million. The hedging and case fee burden falls on the petrol and diesel users by the innocent people. Central Bank of Sri Lanka and Lanka Putra Development Bank. Recently, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka had spent $6.2 million to purchase a building in New York. Another $122 million had been spent to purchase a building in Brazil. Is the central bank a real estate agent? 1.396 billion rupees had been spent on international advisory companies. In addition, there was a condition imposed on the Lanka Development Bank. It was that they cannot grant loans exceeding 20 million rupees. Here is the list. 470 million for Beton and 250 million for TriStar. 130 million rupees was given to HVA Lanka Exports Private Limited. 129 million rupees was given for Navaloka Polysax Limited. 100 million rupees for Peter Limited. Who are they? These are companies that are the associates of politicians. The Lanka Development Bank had granted loans exceeding its 20 million rupee limit. As rules, they are meant to give loans to associates in the past. The current administration is also granting loans to associates. The role of COPE is to report matters to Parliament. The cabinet chaired by the President is vested with the role of implementation. A new culture is on the rise. Under that, when the looted property is confiscated, the thief is released. There is a 28-acre land and a mansion in Malvana. There are no owners for this land. The land is taken over by the state. Those involved are free. Around 1 acre has been purchased in Brownhill, Mathura. How is it purchased? Rather than probing into that, the land is taken over. The person involved is free. The bond issue of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka led the government into a controversy. The government changes the government. The transaction goes under. This cannot happen. A thief breaks into a house and steals the television. When the thief is nabbed, he says he will return the television and go home. If this is the case, over 90% of those in prison could be released. Therefore, corrupt persons must not be allowed to roam free through property being taken over by the state and matters being swept under the carpet.
මෙම දේපල පවරා ගැනීම හරහා මෙම වංචා දූෂිතයන්ට යටපත් වීමට නිදැල්ලේ කටයුතු කිරීමට ඉඩකඩ ලබා නොදී යුතුයි.
Speaking on the Newsline program this morning, W.A. Wijayawardena, the former Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, held the Monetary Board accountable for the scandal that had taken place at the Central Bank.
He was speaking to senior journalist Faraz Shakutali.
He actually wanted to take up 20 billion, and thank God for Mrs. Senevi Ratna from the Public Debt Department who refused to do that. And then he said, oh well, in that case do 10 billion. The Monetary Board wasn't told about it. They were actually only informed after the event, and I don't know whether they actually even formalized it up to now. But what's the point of telling the Monetary Board after an event?
That is why, for us, I will put the blame wholly on the Monetary Board, because each Monetary Board member in terms of the Monetary Act is supposed to act independently on his own.
Yeah.
It's not the Monetary Board members are appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Minister of Finance, but once they have been appointed, they are like Supreme Court judges. They have to act independently, and if they have failed in actually even questioning what has happened at that particular auction, the Monetary Board members have failed the nation. So the first of all, I think it's the Monetary Board which has to take responsibility, because the particular matter which has now come to light, which is now actually not a matter for Sri Lanka, it's a matter that has been even circulated throughout the globe. That such and such scandal has taken place in the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, which is not good for Sri Lanka, which is not good for the Central Bank.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption filed 5 cases against Major Neville Vanniyarachchi, who served as the Chief Security Officer of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
The Bribery Commission stated that Vanniyarachchi had failed to disclose details of assets and liabilities during the period from 2010 to 2014. Colombo Additional Magistrate Chandana Kalansurya issued notices to Neville Vanniyarachchi to be present in court on the 28th of this month.
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery and corruption filed 5 cases against one Neville Vanniyarachchi for not declaring assets and liabilities during his time of service as a major at the Sri Lanka Army under the Declaration of Assets and Liabilities Act No. 1 of 1975.
Meanwhile, Western Provincial Councillor Roger Seneviratne was summoned to the Presidential Commission to investigate into large-scale fraud and corruption. The council was summoned to record a statement with regard to an incident where a vehicle belonging to the Ministry of Construction, Engineering Services, Housing and Common Amenities of the previous government was allegedly used without a legal authority. Speaking at an event held in Colombo today, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe spelled out the importance of establishing the Office of Missing Persons.
We are a country that went through serious problems. The uprising in 71, then from 80s onwards, the uprising again in the north, which continued, another uprising in the south in 87. We had this. And in this we have a violation of human rights. No one says no to it. This whole issue came up in 1990-91 when there were human rights allegations came up in Sri Lanka, both on the southern side and the northern side. And there were demands. We should be taken up to Geneva. Some of my own friends went to Geneva and argued that the government should be tried there, like my good friend, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. He's a friend of mine. So you have a war, you have a conflict, and in the process of bringing it under control, there are violations of human rights. No country has this happened or no place without, but we are open about it, we discuss about it. You can't hide it. Now we try to hide it. We said we can't have cases, but then we did have a case and we threw a man into jail. The Army Command, Fonseca. We've appointed the Paranagama Commission. And then the government says, don't publish the report. You can't go on forever and ever and ever. But we thought, look, at the end it has to be reconciliation. Deaths have occurred, killings have taken place. If there has to be any prosecutions, we can do it under our law. So we are starting the Missing Persons Office. Missing Persons Office is for the future also. It do with journalists like Iknaligoda who went missing. Just find out the information about them. We all would like to know how many went missing finally. Truth may be ugly, but we can live with that truth. It does not mean the truth should lead to retribution. That we should put this past behind us. Now we have a future ahead of us.
The Prime Minister made this statement at the launch of a book titled Manurava 2016, published by the Law Students' Human Rights Movement 2016 of the Sri Lanka Law College.
At a media briefing convened by several members of the joint opposition, views were expressed on persons who lost positions in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. This does not seem like a decision reached at the Central Working Committee of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The road is cleared for the leader of the UMP through this. This seems like a decision made for the United National Party. Certain organisers have come out recently. They cannot even muster 200 votes in Gampaha. They cannot even muster 200 votes in an electorate. Certain individuals are those who lost the local government and municipal council elections. Can they, who are unable to muster the support of the public, be able to take the SLFP forward? The leader must think about this. Following are views expressed recently by persons who lost positions as organisers. We asked them to hold elections even tomorrow. We are not afraid. But what does this government say? They say that they have another 4 years and nothing can be done for them during the 4 years. The government's sole plan is to defeat Mahinda Rajapaksa. They had to plan beyond that and have no clue of what to do.
Women in thousands gathered here to obtain blessings of Goddess Pattani to drive away the government that burdens women.
Some say not to fear and they cannot be toppled for 5 years. Elaborating on the changes made in the posts of organisers in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, the party's General Secretary, Minister Duminda Dissanayake, said anyone who strays away from the party constitution will be stripped of their membership.
At the 65th Party Convention, we believe that we will be able to show the strength of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to its members with the current chairman of the party at the centre and the two former chairmen on either side. We have made arrangements to extend an invitation to Mahinda Rajapaksa and Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga via a minister. And from what I know, former chairman Mahinda Rajapaksa has accepted it.
චන්ද්‍රිකා බණ්ඩාරනායක කුමාරතුංග මැතිතුමියටත් Mahinda.
Those who gave their fullest support to strengthen the party under the leadership of Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga and Mahinda Rajapaksa have been given important responsibilities and positions even under the chairmanship of Maithripala Sirisena. Yes, there are already several vacancies in the party. Anyone who violates the constitution of the party can be stripped of their membership. The same can happen to those who have been newly appointed as well. Absolutely not. The decisions that are being taken now does not have any effect to what you mentioned, does it? If someone wants to form a new party, they can. This particular group have an obligation and responsibility to serve as MPs of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in the parliament of this country until 2020.
Speaking at a media briefing in Colombo today, leader of the Navasama Samaj Party, Dr. Vikramabahu Karunaratne, commented on the SLFP's decision to appoint new organisers.
A certain sense of flushing out is much needed for this party because there cannot be two streams with differences within this party. Hence, one stream, the smallest stream, should step down, form a new party. The way the Navasama Samaj Party sees it, eliminating factions with racist and fascist ideologies is good for an ordinary democratic party because the Sri Lanka Freedom Party was once a populist party. Now this new leader is attempting to take this party back to the standard when it was formed by SWRT Bandaranaike, which was a populist and progressive party and accepted by both the North and the South. This is extremely important.
Boralagama is a remote village in Mathura that was deprived of access to clean drinking water for over 6 decades.
That's right. However, yesterday saw the discovery of a water source after days of conducting geological excavations.
Gamatha 100 Days, Day 30.
God's abundant blessings are with anything done with determination and the right intention.
It was on the 20th that the Newsfirst Gamatha 100 Days initiative inaugurated a project to provide clean drinking water for the people of Boralagama in Baligama. Despite the preliminary steps being taken, the project faced a serious blow as it took time to locate a water source. The efforts bore fruit yesterday as water gushed out during an excavation, turning frowns into smiles of the people in the locality.
For years, politicians have come and gone. They come only during election time. They promise to give water. They say they will give it today or tomorrow. No one gave us water. Sirisa came and promised to give water to us. By the gods, we have water. We respect Sirisa and Gamatha as we respect the gods we believe in.
Another 5 drinking water projects were inaugurated today under the Newsfirst Gamatha 100 Days project in the Balangodi area in Ratnapura. Locals living in 5 separate villages in the Valavai estate in Balangoda have been facing a crisis for a prolonged period of time over the access of clean drinking water. 4 hours a day, that was the duration that they were provided with water. Mrs. Lalita Jayathilaka and Mr. B.N.R. Pereira from Maharagama are sponsoring these water projects under the Newsfirst Gamatha 100 Days program.
The Gamatha 100 Days program is rendering an insurmountable service to the country. We see your institution as one that renders a service than the other media institutions in the country. If an institution like ours can complete 100 small projects or more within a period of 100 days, we can send a message to society that we all can serve each other.
They informed us about this issue. Why? Because the people have been with News First. They believe that News First would see their plight and help them. Today that faith has become a reality.
The project to provide drinking water does not stop from here. News First prepared to do more. Today we inaugurated 5 different water projects. News First will take measures to provide water to all your houses.
These drinking water projects that are set up across 5 separate villages in the Valava estate will provide water to over 1,000 families.
When returning from school, the children drink water from streams and waterways. The children will be healthy after drinking clean water.
We appreciate the effort made by News First by coming into remote areas like this. We are thankful to the chairman of the Sirasa Media Network and all the journalists.
Under the News First Gamada 100 Days program, many projects are currently underway in many areas of the island. These projects will be vested with the public in the coming days.
The Gamada 100-Day Initiative. With the people, for the people.
Operations continue to locate the last missing person of a group of 4 that had drowned while bathing off the coast of Balapitia. 3 persons have been confirmed to have drowned, and the body of one of them was recovered late this evening.
No one would have imagined that the day of laughter spent with relatives would end on the cement floor of the Balapitia Base Hospital. The fate of 4 families were changed by the waves forever in a matter of minutes. Yesterday, 4 3-wheelers filled with relatives reached the Bandaravata beach in Balapitia, hoping to enjoy the evening with fun and games. The calm seas unexpectedly became rough, giving no warning. The moment of playing with a plastic bottle filled with water in the shallow seas ended with one single rough wave.
The sisters bathed together. The brothers were playing with us with a ball. The waves first dragged my niece and then my sister. I was near the beach. When I went there, the small brother grabbed onto me. 2 of them went after the sisters, and they too were dragged away. They were brought to shore around an hour later.
They yelled that 2 persons were washed away. No one dived in to save them. I jumped in from the rocks. There were 2 persons in the water. I brought back 1. We saw what happened and we took a boat to sea. We couldn't reach the area because the sea was rough. My daughter was still breathing while being taken to hospital. The other had already passed away.
Only I was able to come back. Both who went to save them also drowned. All 4 were washed away.
Lakshani Vasana, one of the victims, was 15 years old and was a grade 10 student of Patiraja Mahavidyalaya. She was the eldest of 4 in her family. UL Chandani was the other woman who drowned. 34-year-old Chandani leaves behind a 1-year-old baby. 18-year-old Nadit Madhushan, the other victim, had tied the knot only 4 months ago. All 3 victims were residents from Patiraja in Ahongalla. Visal Medis continues to remain missing. He had just sat for the GCE advanced level examination this year. A student from Balapitia Siddhartha Vidyalaya, he was a resident from the Koskoda junction in Uragas Manhandia. The search for Visal continues.
Indeed, some tragic news reported there. Moving on to more local news this evening. Senior DIG M.R. Latif has been appointed as the Commandant of the Police Special Task Force.
The National Police Commission recommended the name of Senior DIG M.R. Latif to be appointed as the Commandant of the Police STF after the position was left vacant following the retirement of DIG Ranjit Pereira. The media unit of the STF stated that the appointment was done this afternoon by the Inspector General of Police. In addition, Senior DIG Latif will continue his duties as the Chief of Recruitment, Training, International Relations and Head of Division. The Police Commission appointed M.R. Latif as the Chief of the STF with effect from the 10th of this month. Since there were reports that the appointment was not given, this was to be discussed at the meeting of the National Police Commission. We got to know in the meantime that the letter of appointment has been given to M.R. Latif and that he is to take office as the Commandant of the STF from tomorrow. Therefore, this issue has been resolved now.
Speaking at the end of mission press conference of her first official visit to Sri Lanka yesterday, Director General of UNESCO, Irina Bokova, commended President Maithripala Sirisena for the progress made in the country.
The most important now in terms of political agenda of the country is the peace process, the reconciliation of the country, and everything that is linked to overcoming the conflict of the past, of healing the wounds on the basis of respect for human rights, on the basis of respect for diversity and looking forward for the future. So this was one of the main topics of my meetings today with the President of the country. Also we touched upon today with the President. I commended him for the Freedom of Access to Information Act, which is something from the point of view of UNESCO also extremely important, and working with journalists, freedom of expression, media developments, and in the work on the new constitution, the President reassured me that this will be very strongly part of what they're looking for.
And on that note, we wrap up this edition of Primetime News. Just a reminder, if you missed out on any of the stories we aired tonight, you can log on to our website, www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Sonali Wanigabadage.
And I'm Zolotsko, and take care. Good night.